Welcome back to another episode of Coffee Talks. I'm Daisy Tornell, your host, also known as Cafecito con Daisy, here with Denitza León, the founder and owner of Ouui I Love Studios. So welcome.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Good.
I'm so excited to have you back for my first episode in almost 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a while. It's been a while. So before we dive into the good stuff, I want to know, who is Denitza? Where did you grow up and how was your childhood?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. I was excited to be on and hear that you're starting it back up again. My name is Denitza León, and I'm the founder and creative director of Ouui I Love. And I think a lot of people don't probably realize, but I grew up in LA. My grandparents, they came here from Peru, and my other grandparents came here from Mexico, and they lived in Bell and Huntington Park. So, there'd be weekends where I'd spend my time out there, but growing up, I lived in Buena Park, went to school in La Habra, shout out to Sonora, if anyone's an alumni, and then Cal State Fullerton as well.
Oh, alumni here.
Yes!
So what did you study at Cal State Fullerton?
I studied communications with an emphasis in PR and realized midway through I wasn't fully a PR girly, that I really loved photo and aspects of marketing, and I really just started taking certain electives and classes that aligned more with photography and design.
Awesome. And before we dive into that stuff, I want to know some fun facts that people might not know about you, just so they get to know you.
Yeah.
Anything that they would never guess about you?
I think some fun facts that people don't know about me is, I think we all know that we live in LA and there's great restaurants and whatnot, but I really love Norms.
Norms? The Denny's? The Denny's?
But it's just diner food. And I always tell the team, if it was a successful week, on a Friday, I'm heading to Norms and having coffee, a SoCal breakfast. I do turkey bacon, and I upgrade to
So it's not
French
Nobu
toast.
for you, it's Norms.
It's Norms, girl. I keep it OG. I love Norms. I think they've been around for years, and we always we have friends that come in from out of town, and we're let's go to Norms, and they love it.
I love Denny's, actually.
Oh,
if
no
I had to
way.
choose, I love Denny's over Norms, to be honest. But I do love little holes on the wall. There's this chilaquil. It's not a chilaquil place, but I call it the chilaquil spot by my house.
Yeah.
It's a little hole on the wall, and they have the best chilaquiles and iced coffee.
Ooh,
So
that's really good.
that's the place I would go to celebrate a win as well. It wouldn't be a fancy restaurant or anything like that.
No, I mean, I love dressing up. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a good hole in the wall or just a local spot. Supporting small business too is the best.
Yeah, I love that. And I just found out today you're Peruvian and Mexican.
Yes.
Tell us about that. How was it growing up?
I loved it, honestly. I think I grew up more with my Peruvian side, so I ate a lot of arroz and ají. My grandma would make every day for dinner. And on my Mexican side, it was really hard for me to understand the spices that were used. So it would be Peruvian, I think, could be very savory and a little more sweet.
It's not as spicy, right?
Not as spicy.
Yeah.
So, but now that I'm older and I understand, I can have mole or I have chilaquiles, and I'm oh, we could put different salsa verde. But I love being Mexican and Peruvian because they're just great food, and both are beautiful cultures in themselves.
What about accent wise? Did you grow up with the Mexican accent when you speak Spanish, or is it the Peruvian accent?
It would say it was the Peruvian accent, but don't get me wrong. I mean,
Or the slang. How do you guys we each have our own, because I'm Mexican.
Yeah.
How do you guys do it? Do you do a little bit of both?
I would say in Peru, obviously there is vulgar words, but
is it coño? Is that one of them?
no, that's Cuban. I think
no.
coño.
My best friend, she's Peruvian, and she says, is it carajo?
Oh, there's a song,
yeah.
carajo, yes. In Peru, they also call us China or chino.
Yes, my friend's nickname is China. Yeah.
And that's exactly all my tias are oye, China. And I'm hola, tia, ¿cómo estás? But I think we have that long
You do
pronunciation.
have that long. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. And another thing that my friend was telling me is that you guys she had a funny moment where you guys have torta as a cake. not a torta.
No way. I don't
Like, is that, yeah, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so torta for Peruvians means like a cake.
Oh, shoot.
And for us Mexicans, it means a torta, like a sandwich.
Yeah, I would have taken it like a sandwich.
So she said she ordered a torta one time and they gave her a torta, like a literal torta. She's like, I meant cake. And I was like, the torta's a torta. And I'm like, oh, it's so funny how we have different sayings.
No,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I think hearing my grandparents, like, they're Spanish, or even at home, like, with other family members, I'd be like, oh, this is how, certain words. But then when I'd go with, I think my Mexican side, they were very proper as well. They were from Guadalajara. And,
okay.
My grandfather was into upholstery, so he had his business in Glendale, but I think he really just adopted maybe different way of speaking versus like the slang, I would say.
And do you feel like since you grew up with being Peruvian, Mexican, and here and speaking or learning English, do you feel like it affected you at all? Like growing up, were you a little confused, like ni de aquí, ni de allá, like trying to grasp onto both, like
I think
languages?
Now that I'm older, sometimes like if I'm trying to think of a word to say, I'm like, wait a second, I'm like I know how to say it in Spanish, but and then it'll come, and I'm like, okay, yes, this is how you say it in English.
Yeah.
But there's certain like pasaporte, I'll say passport.
Oh, passport.
Yeah. Or
troca. Es camioneta. No, I actually know like all of those little words where like my mom would be like, don't speak like that. Like, parquearte.
Oh, yeah.
Es estacionarte.
No, for sure.
Yeah, so my mom never liked when I said stuff like
Or I think it'd be like lonche.
Yeah, what is it?
I think it's almuerzo. Or
what about almuerzo's breakfast?
Okay, then it'd be I don't know.
I don't even know. We're gonna have to play the Yo Sabo game because
no, for sure.
Okay, so how did you get into creative designing, creative directing, photography, and e-commerce? Right?
Yeah. I would say it's probably over like 12 years ago. I was really into blogging, and it's that era where people were writing and sharing like visuals, like images of their outfits, and immediately I knew, I was like, okay, well, I wasn't fascinated by PR, but I was really into reading blogs. And I interned it was called I Like What You Wear, and we would interview up-and-coming designers. And I was working alongside the person who would write the blogs, and we would go and she would interview the upcoming designers, and I would get to photograph them. But I think I really learned there was like, oh, I get to tell other people's stories in a different way of like photographing and seeing what they're launching in their collections. And immediately I was like, well, I want to work in social, because I saw it was like when Instagram was still on iPhones exclusively.
Yeah.
And immediately I knew
that logo.
Yeah.
The old logo. Yeah.
An iconic, yes. But everyone was like on Facebook, and obviously we grew up with MySpace, I think, during that time period. But immediately I just felt like I loved being on the internet and seeing content being produced. So I ended up I worked for Robert Wayne Footwear when I was like 16, and I worked with them for 9 years, but I wanted to leave by the time I was almost done in college. I told my district manager, I was like, hey, I'm getting ready to like take off and work for someone else, and I want to pursue social media. And he was like, give me a second, let's talk to corporate and see what we can do. So he spoke to the director of operations that was pretty much leading e-commerce at that time. And trust me, it wasn't like the cool department to be in. Everyone was still like infatuated with like traditional marketing. They were spending millions of dollars with Power 106. But for me, it was like I was entering this department that was probably less than 800 square feet, the offices. But we literally like took over the whole corporate offices, took over the warehouses down there, because online was just really doing numbers. And I think we were on Amazon, we were selling on our online store that we had, but we were using our 85 stores that we had across the US to pretty much do order fulfillment. And really there I got to understand how you photograph different brands. We worked with Vans, Puma, Doc Martens, UGG. So it was like learning their style and how to photograph the products. And I did a lot of guerrilla shooting. My boss at the time, Adrian, he was really hard on me. He would make me do reshoots, and I wouldn't understand it at first. I'd be like, oh, like man, like, he's so tough to please, but is because he was challenging me and he knew that I was self-taught. You know, I didn't go to school for photography. I didn't go to school for graphic design.
You went for PR.
I went for PR, but he always told me, he was like, never stop learning. He goes, whatever you do, never stop learning. He goes, watch webinars on your lunch. He goes, do what you have to do to continue evolving because this landscape is ever changing.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful. I actually texted him 2 weeks ago and I just told him, I was like, hey, I got this opportunity to like work for a pretty big brand, which was Nike. And he was just in awe. And, you know, he said beautiful words and he was so proud. And I think, like, I don't want to get emotional because
You can. It's an open space.
it was just like, you know, I think to go back to my boss that really challenged me. I was so grateful to have someone like that because at the time in my 20s, I think I was 22 when
This is when you were a college student, right?
Yeah, I was a college student already working corporate. I didn't understand or put things into perspective, but I realized now, I was like, I was pretty much setting myself up for what I'm doing now today as a creative director.
And did you venture off into being like your own boss because of the work that you were doing? Like, did something make you want to be your own boss?
Honestly, I was really terrified of leaving the company because I had grown up there, 16, working retail, then evolving into the career I had. I was like, okay, I need to work for another corporation. So I went into fast fashion footwear, and it was such a hard, when you work for a company, it's like, for myself, I personally just fell in love with my coworkers. I fell in love with what I was working on each day. So it's like you're leaving a relationship and you're starting over.
And it's scary, I'm sure, because you're starting from scratch, yeah.
Learning their systems. It was learning, how to properly respond back to their emails, what they're used to. And I had worked there for 11 months. And I always tell people it felt like 5 years in fast fashion, but it was fast fashion footwear. Yeah. But I think there I got to see what it was like to lead a team. We had a e-commerce manager, we had a graphic designer, we had a social media manager, we also had an intern, and that was the team I was leading, and I was working closely with.
For those that don't know, what is e-commerce?
E-commerce, it's pretty much online.
Okay.
Ordering online.
Okay.
But e-commerce are usually people, if it's an e-commerce department, they're usually like doing the customer service aspect or fulfilling orders.
Okay, so that's what you were doing at one point.
Yes, I was pretty much doing the marketing of like new arrivals that would come on. I was doing a lot of the buying too. So I would work with the vice president, share with her, okay, this is what's trending at this time. This is what I would like to carry on our online, because they were really known for wholesale. So they were either doing private labeling and doing wholesale, like, I'd say like brands like Miss Lola, she would be shopping in there. Laura's Boutique, it was Cupid Shoes in East Lyon. So there was that wholesale aspect, but then I came in for e-commerce for their
It's
brand.
crazy because I remember when Laura's Boutique first started, like her little shop, I think it was in
Whittier.
In Whittier, right?
Yeah.
But there was another one in Anaheim, or was it Tustin?
I don't remember.
Santa Ana? I don't know. But I used to shop there, and that was like the beginning of a different era in marketing, I think. Like where everything started to open up for like social media, online shopping. For a while, people used to go to malls. They used to shop in person, and now it's all online, right?
Oh, yes, you're right. I think she was located.
Was it Tustin?
I might have been the Santa Ana Mall.
Yeah.
Or Main Place Mall. There you go, Main Place.
No, but she had a smaller location. Like it was its own store in, I want to say it was Tustin, borderline Santa Ana.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't recall. I just remember Whittier, and I mean,
But I've been to the one in Whittier. It's gone, right?
I don't think they have.
Yeah.
They went strictly just online now.
Okay, yeah. It's evolved. So, how did Ouui I Love start? Like I read on your website, it started with a $9 IKEA table and an idea. I love that.
No, it really did though. So I worked for this startup beauty company. So I got poached after working in fast fashion footwear, and within 5 months they let me go, and it was like 5 days before Christmas, and that was just like so hard on my ego, and I thought I was at the top of my career. I was leading a team, leading a company, And to be let go during that time period, no one was hiring during the holidays. Like usually,
Was there a specific reason why you got let go, or
it was
if you can talk about it?
Yeah, I honestly I just think it was a startup mentality, and the owner was younger. I actually not ran into him. I purposely went to go see him at a trade show. I had seen that they had a booth there, and I just said hello. I was like, I'm going to be a bigger person here, and he actually said some really nice words and was very proud that I started my own business. And but it's just I think entrepreneurs sometimes we don't know everything.
Yeah.
We're learning as we're going each day. I learn something new about a business each day. But I think to go back to your question, I really was interviewing for other corporate jobs, but I felt like, what am I doing? I'm like, I've always wanted to have this agency. I wanted to have a creative team. Like, why not just try now? I think I was 27 at the time. And, what you see now on TikTok, if people are like, oh, I'm my own business owner, or I could do this. There was none of that. I was like, it was a lonely time. It was scary. I would turn to like YouTube to understand how do I do my accounting for my business. I would go to different meetings to meet with other accountants and be like, okay, I understand I need to be a freelancer, but how do I process like these purchases that I'm making? They're like, you need to go open a bank account. You need to register your business. And there was a lot of people that I met along the way that taught me something of like, okay, this is how you're going to be able to operate as a business owner. But I immediately, I think after doing those interviews and like the corporate end, I thought, if I don't do this now, then when am I going to do this ever again? So I took the leap. That first year was really tough. I was on unemployment for 1 month, and I told myself I can't do that. I felt like I couldn't. I felt like I was disappointing my own self, and so immediately, as soon as I got my first check, which was Beauty Creations, I had pitched them as a brand. And my first check, I guess, as Denitza Digital at that time, I was like cutting off the unemployment. I made my first check. I'm going to do this. And they were my first client.
That's awesome. So after that, was that like your, kind of like your eye opener? Like, I can do this. Like, I'm ready to start my own business.
It was hard. It was definitely hard the first year because it's like, you don't know where your money is going to come from. I think with Beauty Creations, it was consistent work each month. But I mean, I was hitting a certain bracket, working corporate. So to go back and start what I was making probably when I was working retail, I mean, it was hard.
Yeah.
It's like I wasn't making the same income. I was about to move out when I worked in the corporate world. I couldn't do that anymore. It was like, well, either I invest into this $5,000 camera and gear, or I figure out a way to move out. So luckily my parents were very kind, and they were like, do it. They're like, and that's why I got the $9 IKEA table.
Do you still have that table?
No, I had to get rid of it. I should have kept it, but I could probably buy it at IKEA for sure. I pretty much set up that $9 IKEA table next to my vanity in my pink bedroom that I grew up in my parents' home. And that's how I started the business. I would photograph in there, do a lot of flat lays. I would use natural sunlight that would come in. And I would go back to the guerrilla style of shooting. I would shoot either like outdoors for some of the beauty campaigns that I was working on. And I was very fortunate during that time because I think I got to do a lot of testing and seeing like, okay, what are the services that I want to offer? How do I incorporate some of my background of what I learned in the corporate world? But I really think working corporate polished my skills in the sense of like, oh, this is how I would communicate during a meeting. This is how I would pitch a client. And yeah, I'm very grateful.
That's awesome. Thank you, IKEA table. Please sponsor her now. Would you say there was any like setbacks during your journey that ever made you think twice, like, is this what I'm meant to do? Or like that made you kind of like self-doubt? And how did you get out of that mindset if there was any?
No, for sure. Well, 2019, my boyfriend was diagnosed with leukemia, with a rare leukemia, and it's called BPDCN. And we were in the midst of traveling abroad in Asia, and he was feeling really sick out there. So when we got back, I'd already gotten my first studio location in Santa Ana. But when we got back, we were trying to figure out what he had. And we ended up flying out to Houston because we were told like he has a rare cancer. So when we went out there, they told us like either like we could save your life out here at MD Anderson. And it was kind of me at that moment thinking, how am I going to balance running a business and dealing with this personal matter now? Because at the end of the day, clients don't care. People don't care what's happening in your personal life. No, I always tell people, I'm like, I can complain how tired I am. I can complain about I'm not making enough. People don't really care. You know, I know there's empathy in life, but at the end of the day, when someone's paying you for a service, they're expecting that service. But I was transparent with our clients that we had at that time. I told them, hey, I'm going to be going to Texas and Houston, but I'll be flying back and forth. I can still provide the services that I'm doing. It's just going to be at a different location now. And at that moment, I realized, like, if I didn't have the business that I had, I don't think I would have been able to do this in a corporate world.
No, definitely not, yeah.
And I think at that moment, I realized, like, I can make my life what I want it to be. And I can just, I am my own boss. I can decide. But I'm really big, I think, on, you know, providing empathy to our team when I know that life can happen. And that's, you know, we're all human beings. And I think that's when you go through something like that, it's really just having compassion.
It probably changes your perspective on a lot of things too, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we're selling a product or we're producing a campaign for a product, but that's also someone's life.
But there's somebody behind the lens, you know, like somebody behind the shoot. Yeah. It's kind of like that. I don't know if you've seen that meme, Be Kind. And there's like a bunch of cars and it says like everybody's dealing with something and you don't know about it type of thing. Yeah.
No, I didn't really. And I'm sure Ryan's going to be like, why did you share that? But
no, I think it's good that you shared it. Yeah.
No, and it's true. Like, people didn't know that we were dealing with that.
Yeah.
I mean, we made like maybe one post about it, but behind closed doors, like, I was just cleaning out my closet yesterday and I found one of the jackets that I would wear every day when I was out there because it was cold during that time period. And something about it just reminded me, like, that little jacket literally held me together on some of my toughest days, on most, like, the days where I thought, like, oh, we're doing great, and days where I would be, like, crying in a stairwell and thinking, like, what the heck, we're so young, like, why are we dealing with this, you know? And then I have a client be like, hey, you need to make sure you get this over to me by end of day. But I felt like that little jacket, I'm like, I can't get rid of it because it has something sentimental that made me feel whole.
Whole, yeah. That's awesome. I mean, not the whole thing, but
No.
I love, honestly, you're so brave and like, I love your personality. Like when I first met you, like I knew you had something about you like that's just like so soft. Like you have good aura.
Thank you.
And I just, honestly, I'm so proud of all the work. I just met you not that long ago, but I'm so proud of all the work you've done and how you've shown all your work and how you've come such a long way being an independent Latina owner. I think that's amazing.
Oh,
and I have
thank
to give you
you.
flowers for that because that's truly amazing.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, I just want to inspire others and show them that, like, yes, I'm Latina as well. And, you know, we all have a different upbringing, but it doesn't mean you can't pursue what you want, you know, what fulfills you. I mean, of course, there's going to be challenges. There were some of the hardest days where I thought, like, this is all I made this month. And, you know, but I felt like I had seen this long-term vision. I'm like, I know I'm going to get there, but it's not right now.
Was there anything specific that inspired you when you felt like that on those low days?
Honestly, I felt like the outdoors. Like, I always try to see beauty in, like, if I go on a walk or I was really into thrifting back then, which was like probably 8+ years ago. But I would go to thrift stores and see like antiques or seeing like, oh, like I wonder what story that dish had or that cup. But I think it's just like constantly finding inspiration in different outlets. I think now there's so much like we're inundated each day by like social media, which is like TikTok or trends. Mm-hmm. But for me, I like to look back and see like, you know, what is this piece of, you know, whether it's an antique or a book or history, like, you know, what's the story? You know, how did that come to be? And I think that's where I find a lot of inspiration.
So how do you maneuver like the change in social media from then to now? Now we have to keep up with trends. There's TikTok, there's LinkedIn, there's YouTube, there's Facebook, there's everything, right? And all of those social media platforms are completely different. So how do you stay up to date with everything and changing it to kind of fit in with the Gen Z generation?
Okay, so that was a really great question. I think that's the constant conversation that we have internally as a team. We're always like, okay, but there's this trend that's happening right now. Like, how do we hop on it? Do we hop on it? And for us, we like to plan at least like a month in advance. And some of our clients that we're producing content for, they're planning like a month or 2 months in advance. But I do think that we found ways where we keep some openings in our content calendar where we're like, okay, if something comes up, we can put in like a trending piece. But typically we're doing like portfolio pieces of our work, or maybe it's already a pre-planned post. But it's hard, I will say. Like, if you're a brand and you like to do trends, like, I think leave those openings, either the audio, have someone who's a Gen Z on your team.
You need to a little bit, because I feel like I'm a millennial, and sometimes I'm like, I can't keep up with these trends, you know?
Girl, I'm a millennial too, so
I can't be dancing on the camera all the time. Like,
no, for sure. I think our team, I mean, I think they're quirky. You know, we like to have a good time too. And some of the trends, I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, what's that word? Or I think we're talking about the 6'7". Yeah. I'm like,
or 6'7"?
Yeah.
6'7", yeah. Yeah, there's some weird ones.
I might need a Gen Alpha on my team next.
Yeah. And before we dive into more stuff, how did you come up with the name Ouui I Love?
Okay, no, that's interesting because it took me a minute to come up with the name, but it pretty much means like when you take a step back and you look at your work and you say like, ooh, I love that. Mm-hmm. And I started playing with the O and the UU. And a lot of people say like, oh, it's we I love. I'm like, oh no, it's ooh, I love. And now our clients will say it on set. Like,
ooh, I love.
Yes, constant. Yeah. Like, they're reviewing photo footage, like, as they're coming in. They're like, ooh, I love that. I love it. I'm like, oh, perfect. And then I think one client, they kept saying it. And they're like, I get why it's called Ooh, I Love.
Because I think we say that often and we don't even realize it.
Exactly.
Like, ooh, I love this coffee. It's so good. Or like, ooh, I love these photos. They came out great. Yeah. That's awesome. And growing up, who inspired you? Like, who was your role model, or who did you look up to?
Oh, well, I think my mom for sure. You know, she was a single parent, but she was like, she constantly would work all the time and provided in so many different ways. But now I think that I'm older and she's now retired, but she works for a different company. I admire her fashion advice because she's really into like finding like the history or understanding like different materials. But so I'm very grateful for my mother because I feel like I would always ask her growing up, how does this look? Or, you know, and she would give me her 2 cents on it. But I think for people that are out there, I would say I was really in love with like Judy Garland, Lucille Ball. You know, I look at them as women and I'm like, I think Judy Garland had a tough life, but she was part of like The Wizard of Oz, or just, you know, some of the roles that she had. I was like, wow, like, it was so hard, I think, as a woman back then, and being such a young like star. What do they call it? Like a starlet, or there's a word for it. I can't think of it, but I got to see a movie about her, and I thought like, wow, there was so much talent in her. But you know, sometimes there's people that demand so much from someone. But I think Lucille Ball, seeing what they did with I Love Lucy and Desi Arnaz, like, I mean, he developed the different camera points and the music live. Like, that's so cool. And I think sometimes he doesn't get his flowers enough. But I think Lucille Ball as well. They were such icons during that time.
And you have a
period.
knife for fashion, huh?
I
like
do.
I could see you're such a creative. It's like it brings a spark to your eyes.
Oh, I love fashion, but I think I go lean more classic and vintage.
Are you a Sex and the City fan?
I am.
Okay, what did you think about like Carrie? Who was your favorite dress on the show?
I think Carrie was fun in the sense that the character that they developed around her was very much like fashion forward, but I love Carrie in just like that.
Oh, like so more like later on, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
later on, like some of the pieces, I really got to listen to some of the costume designers that were part of developing the character, and I was like, oh, I get why you chose those pieces. And they do a lot of thrifting as well.
Yeah.
I think they found like this vintage sweater, and it was like a pattern, and Carrie was like, oh, I need that sweater to be part of my home. So they turned it into a bench. And
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah, and I was like, oh, that's really neat. And I think we can fall in love with characters, but sometimes I'm like, oh, it's the people behind the scenes who.
That's what I was gonna say. We never really think about who's bringing the outfits into the show, right?
No, for
like that's
sure.
a very big role, and obviously we don't really think about that. We're like, oh, I love Carrie's newspaper dress. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but who brought that into like the recording episode to record the episode, or who found it, who thrifted it?
Yeah. No, and there's like, I think people, you really have to be in tune and understand, okay, like they probably think about like what designers do they want to feature. I mean, obviously I think that now the doors are probably completely open for them, but I think when they first started, they had to be a little bit more creative of like, okay, where do we source this from? Is it vintage, or do we make it ourselves?
Yeah. And I'm a movie lover, so I love musicals, movies, everything, right?
Oh, do you love musicals?
So I notice everything in a movie. Like, for example, Wicked. Did you watch the new one?
Not, is it the one with Ariana Grande?
Yeah.
Okay.
You haven't yet?
I tried twice, but I keep falling asleep.
Oh my gosh. It's not for, maybe it's not,
No,
it's so good,
it's the time of day that I watch it.
Okay.
Because I love movies too.
But the costume design in that movie, it's like phenomenal.
I liked when she went to the school in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's kind of like a little spin on Legally Blonde.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah. No, it's really good. It's really good. You should watch it because the second part is coming out in November.
Okay. I think I keep seeing like some of the.
But I know musicals are not for everybody. There's just something about musicals that I like. It's kind of like I fall in love with like I escape the real world,
Yeah.
I love it. And that's why I love the Joker.
Yes.
A lot of people said really bad things about it.
I just don't think sometimes people understand the art.
It was art to me. Like, I was like, I don't know. I loved it, and not everybody understands it. So
the one with Lady Gaga, right? Yes. I loved it too.
Yeah.
But it's funny, my cousin, who's like a huge Lady Gaga fan, he was like, it was okay. I was
Everybody
like,
was leaving the theater, and I was like, oh.
No, I think it was, like, I cried a few times in it, but I'm also not a huge musical person, but I think seeing that movie, the way it was shot, the feelings that you felt, it was just like immersed you into it.
Or sometimes they make you feel uncomfortable. For example, I just watched an early screening of Kiss of the Spider Woman.
Okay.
This is a film by the same creator that did Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Bill, I think his name is.
Okay.
Bill. And the approach to this one, J-Lo's in it.
Ooh.
It looks like she's a main star in it, but she's actually not.
Is she like a supporting?
Yeah, you would
role?
think it's because it's Kiss of the Spider Woman, but this musical actually made me feel like weird things inside. Like I was like, oh my god, like, but only because it was like, you have to watch it. I can't spoil it.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit different than what I watch. But then that's what I love about like movies and musicals, that they make you feel something. Like the whole point, it's a show. Like it's not, it's not a real life. You're gonna be watching something that's like not realistic. So it's kind of like an escape from the real world in a sense.
Yeah. No, well, I for sure would need to watch The Wicked, and I would like to go to New York.
Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Have you watched it?
Chicago is like
Older,
yeah. Right? I can't remember. I don't think I have.
You should go watch the musical.
Musical?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Watch Wicked in theaters, or like the musical as well, and then watch it in theaters. I'm sure you'll get a different perspective from it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'll take that note.
You work with so many amazing brands. Congratulations on that. Is there anybody that you really want to work with in the future, or what are your plans moving forward?
Honestly, I was just having this conversation with Ryan, my boyfriend, and I'm like, what's next after this? So beginning of the year, or I would say maybe like last year, I had a moment where I was outside at the park. I was walking my dog, and him and I were walking together. And I sat there and I was crying. I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel lost. Like, it's like I've been in business this long, but I don't know what's next. And then fast forward to January this year, as a team, we did like this manifestation, mood boarding. And the team, we all agreed like we want to work with Nike next. And I said, I don't know how. Like, we're going to do it some way.
Yeah.
And it was just so crazy to be like, we got to do that this year. And I think I was just putting things into perspective more. Like, I think myself as a creative director, I'm getting recognized for some of my work in different ways. And, I love that because I'm like, hopefully I get to inspire other people and people to see my work and be like, oh, I'd love to work with her in some way, producing a project. But I think what I would want next is maybe, I don't know, maybe like dabble into more like the fashion end if I could, maybe something more editorial, maybe with a fashion designer, or I think next project. I mean, I'm open. I'm open. I think that's like the great part of having Ouui I Love is that like I've tapped into the wellness category. We've tapped into like more of the athletic wear. We've tapped into beauty.
Yeah.
And people always say like, well, what industry do you guys specialize in truly? And I'm like, well, we can really understand, I think, each industry. It's a matter of just learning, what are some of the key things for that industry? How do you market a specific product? Is there any like rules or guidelines also that we need to follow? But I don't know. I hope something great next. Every project that we've been able to be a part of has been great. But I don't know. Yeah,
I'm excited for you. I feel like good things are coming. Do you believe in manifesting?
I do.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I think if we put it out there, I think
it's kind of like when you say bad things about yourself, they say to say good things and like it just reverses it. Like, and I do believe that. Like if you say like good things are happening to me, like they are going to happen to you.
No, absolutely. I think even like if you feel like something's off, like this past year I felt like, oh, I need to take time to like reorganize my home. I need to take time to like, purge things. And, it could be easily be like, oh, I'm just going to chill here and watch this next Netflix series. But I was doing that yesterday and I was like, okay, I got to like binge a little bit. Now I need to turn it off and work on some of the goals I had, which was like, cleaning out my coat closet, get things ready for fall and winter. But I was like, just those little goals, you have to try to push yourself.
As a creative, do you ever feel bad having downtime? I struggle with this a lot. Like, I feel guilty when I don't do anything. Like, I always feel like I need to be doing something.
I used to feel like that a lot, but not till this year. I think I try to appreciate the downtime more. I think when I felt the downtime, I would panic and think, oh my gosh, I should be trying to get our next client. I should be preparing for something else. Like I should be working on the business. But I need that downtime to be creative. If not, like I can tell when I start to feel a burnout creatively. There's a lot of times where I'm working on like design renderings or working on like, okay, well, how am I going to tell this story for our next campaign that we're working on? And I realized I just need to turn it off. Like usually if I don't have anything on a Saturday, like that's my day where I'm offline. I get to like go to my favorite antique stores or thrifting, and I get to either go have breakfast with my mom or even with Ryan, because if we don't turn it off, then I think sometimes people get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Or you feel like I'm not doing enough.
Yeah. No, that's something I struggle with because I'm like, I should be doing more. I should be posting content 3 times a day. But then you get super overstimulated. You get burnt out. And I'm like, how do you like manage that?
I think it's content that adds value. Like I see now, people are either trying to hop on a trend. I'm like, okay, but how's that really going to perform? And is this something that you love that you're putting out there?
Yeah, because the trends have to come like every day.
Yeah, and I mean, I give people credit who do the trends. I'm like, ooh, like that was a good one. But sometimes I'm like, are we just oversaturating? Like
that's true.
The internet.
I like quality over quantity.
Exactly.
That's been one of my biggest things. I rather put out good quality content than like bring out a bunch of little trends. But I try to do the trends because it's what's popular on TikTok. Yeah. But to me, sometimes it makes me sad when I put a lot of work into a video and then I post it on TikTok and it doesn't do as well as I thought it was going to do in my mind.
But I think TikTok and Instagram are
completely different.
Different too, and 2 different audiences for sure. But I think it's just finding what works for your platform best.
And if you could go back to when you first started, what advice would you give yourself?
I would probably tell myself to learn more skills back then and to not be afraid. I think to like step into places with confidence and just own more of things that I admired back then. I think I was following trends at a younger, like I look back at old photos and I'm like, oh, like why was I wearing that? Like I should have just stuck to the classic things that I love. But because people weren't wearing that then, and I feel like now I've embraced like the classic things that I love. And yeah, so I would probably tell her like, embrace
yourself.
Yeah, be yourself, be confident. And I think I lived life to the fullest then too. But yeah, not to be afraid, take the leaps, say yes to things.
Yes. And for those that want to pursue a career similar to yours or any other career but are struggling to start, what advice would you give them?
I would say, really think about it. Think about how's it going to change your life. And I took a class with Goldman Sachs, 10K small business. And one of the first things they made us do was write down what's important to our personal life. And, a lot of times as a business owner, you're giving up your time. It's time. You're never off. It's like 24/7. And that's why I say, like, people don't care what's happening to you, because at the end of the day, people are expecting, they're working that 9 to 5 for you. But, at the end of the day, it's not their business. They're going home peacefully after 5. So I think really just think about it. If this was for everyone would be doing it, right? But I would say, take the leap. If you really feel like this is your time, this is something you want to do it. And don't be afraid to teach yourself new things. That's so important. I go back to what Adrian told me, was never stop learning. And I truly believe that. Never stop learning. Learn something new.
I love that. And where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Ew.
What's your vision board for us?
I'm obsessed with Zach Posen. He's the creative director for Gap and Banana Republic and that whole umbrella. But I see him as a creative director, and I'm like, I would love to have a role like that one day, is being able to creative direct from different brands and, piece the vision together. Of course, I would, pursue who I love, but I think that's where I see myself next, is just creating that role for myself fully, maybe somewhere else.
Do you ever see yourself going into fashion, like fashion designing or anything like that?
I keep seeing all these like sewing, like teaching yourself how to sew. Mm-hmm. It's funny because I grew up in the fabrica where, my grandparents, they were producing clothes for like Volcom, Paul Frank. I think it was Stussy. And so I've been around the sewing aspect. So I'm like, do I try to go back into that in some way? I'm like, we got a taste of it with Nike.
Yeah, I saw that. Congratulations. That was beautiful. I love the shoot. Yeah.
Thank you. But we'll see. I don't know yet.
Okay. Very good things happening. But I love to leave our guests with like a special quote or something you want to leave them off with that means a lot to you.
Yeah. I love this lyric / quote. I'm a huge Frank Ocean fan. In his song Biking, it says, God gave you what you could handle, or God gave you what you could handle. And I really believe that. I always say, like, God gave you what you could handle. And I have it framed in our kitchen at home. And it's crazy because sometimes when I'm like, there's something big that I'm working on. I think before I went to Nike LA, I remember just like saying a prayer in the kitchen that day. And I took a breath and I saw the quote and I was like, okay, that's what I needed. Just that reminder.
God gives you what you can handle.
Exactly.
Right? I love that. Okay, and before we end, I have a fun little game. But I'm going to change something really quick just because I found out you're Peruvian and Mexican.
Don't make me pick one side.
Okay, iced coffee or hot coffee?
Ooh, I would say hot coffee.
Hot coffee? Mexican ceviche or Peruvian ceviche?
Oh my goodness. My Mexican side don't hate me, but I love Peruvian ceviche.
It's good.
Leche de tigre is like the best.
Leche de tigre. What is that?
It's pretty much like the ceviche, but it's just try it.
Okay.
It's game changing.
I've had regular ceviche, but I will agree that Peruvian ceviche is better. Yeah. I might get canceled for this. Summer or winter?
Winter.
Night owl or early bird?
In my 20s, I was a night owl. Now I'm an early bird.
Early bird. To be invisible for a day or to read minds for a day?
I would say read minds.
Read minds. Sing karaoke or dance in public?
Ooh, I'd rather dance in public.
Bold colors or neutral colors?
I don't want to be a basic beige girly, but
Neutral colors.
I might do
Me too.
neutrals.
Work from home or work on location?
Work on location.
Work on location?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Work from home, I mean, it's great. We do it once a week if we can as a team, but I like being around people.
Okay.
That's a lot
Not
of
like stuck in your like computer at home.
No, I
Something
really
about that, huh? It's a little depressing.
can be.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when I get to be with the team, I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
I'm like, I missed you guys.
No, yeah, me too. I think I like to be out in the wilderness. I like to be like moving around on site. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just like if either you're an introvert or an extrovert, I think I get energy from people.
Okay. Would you say you're an introvert or an extrovert? Or a little bit of both?
I think I can be an introvert when I need to like recharge my batteries, but if I'm in a environment, then I like to be a little extrovert. Okay. But I have to get comfortable because if not, you'll feel my energy where I'm like, oh, I'm getting
shy. Awesome. So if people want to find you on social media, where can they do that?
You can find me on Instagram under Denitza León. Also on LinkedIn under Denitza León. I think TikTok as well, Denitza León. And
then Ouui I Love Studios.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Ouui I Love. On Instagram, we have Ouui I Love Studios as well, which is our production or rental side. And then Ouui I Love is the agency.
Thank you for joining me today. Make sure to check out this episode on Spotify and YouTube under the Cafecito con Daisy and Cafecito con Daisy on TikTok and Instagram. Hasta la próxima.